Hey, what's up guys? Today, we're comparing two dual dash cams that sit in very different brackets. The Torvo TD3 and the Kingslim D4 Pro. The Torvo is an affordable pick at just under $100, giving you 4K front and 1080p rear. The Kingslim, on the other hand, is closer to the $200 range, offering 4K front and 2K rear, along with extras like voice control and advanced night vision. On paper, both promise solid performance, but the question is, do you need to spend double or more on the Kingslim? Or does the Torvo already cover what most people are looking for in a dashcam? Let's break it down. Let's start with the front camera, since that's the most important piece for most drivers. Torvo TD3 records at 4K with WDR always on. In our drives, we found the daytime footage sharp and natural, with license plates readable from about half a block away. The wide 170-degree lens gives a panoramic view of the road without stretching objects unnaturally. The Kingslim D4 Pro also shoots 4K, but it benefits from Sony sensors with HDR processing, which we don't see in our $99 option Torvo. The Starvis sensor handles light better, and the HDR manages better light transitions, like maybe coming out of a tunnel. D4 Pro also lets you swivel the lens to face either forward or into the cabin, which adds flexibility. But it also means you'll be giving up rear coverage unless you repurpose the rear cam. In pure clarity, Kingslim edges out Torvo slightly, but the difference is most noticeable if you pause the footage and zoom in. For day-to-day driving, Torvo's 4K footage already covers what most of us expect from a front dash cam. This is where we see a clearer gap. Torvo's rear cam records in 1080p, which is perfectly fine for license plates and cars following behind in most conditions. At night, under city lights, plates stay readable, though in very dark stretches of road, details drop a bit. Kingslim ups the game with a 2K rear camera, and the difference is visible. Faces, plates, and finer details are crisper. If you're someone who relies heavily on rear recordings, whether for monitoring tailgaters or parking incidents, that extra resolution does make a difference. That said, for under $100, Torvo's Full HD rear surprised us by being clearer than a lot of entry-level dashcams we've tested before. When we powered both cameras on, the differences in user experience stood out quickly. The Torvo TD3 keeps things simple with a 3.2-inch IPS screen and a menu layout that's easy to scroll through. Everything from switching resolution to toggling loop, length, or adjusting G-sensor sensitivity is clear and quick. We appreciated little touches like the license plate stamping option and the ability to mirror the rear feed, small features that make it more flexible in daily use. The Kingslim D4 Pro, on the other hand, has a slightly smaller 3.1-inch screen but adds a swivel mount for the main camera. That design lets you point the lens at the road or into the cabin. It's handy if you're a rideshare driver or someone who wants in-car footage, but for most drivers who just want front and rear coverage, the swivel design feels more like a gimmick than a must-have. So the fixed camera lens of the Torvo won't feel like something major unless you're using it for ride-sharing. The menus themselves are straightforward too, but didn't feel as snappy as the Torvo's interface. Both cameras come with Wi-Fi and companion apps, but they handle them differently. Torvo uses the Vidure app, which connects over 5G Wi-Fi. In our testing, it felt polished and practical. The live view had barely any delay. Clips were neatly organized into thumbnails with timestamps, and downloading files to the phone was faster than we expected for a budget cam. Kingslim uses its own app, and to its credit, it's intuitive as well. Pairing was quick, GPS data synced without hassle, and being able to pull routes and speed info right into the app was a nice addition. But here's one important difference. Torvo includes a 64 GB microSD card in the box, so you can mount and go right away. Kingslim doesn't include one, so you'll need to buy storage separately. It's a small detail, but for someone installing their first dashcam, not having to shop around for the right card is a genuine win. Now let's talk about one of the biggest deciding factors for dashcams: how they perform when the sun goes down. Kingslim D4 Pro has a clear edge here thanks to its Sony image sensor, HDR for the front and rear. In our drives, license plates under dim street lighting came out clean, headlights didn't blow out the whole frame, and overall clarity felt like something we'd expect from a higher-priced camera. Torvo TD3, despite not using a Sony sensor, held its own surprisingly well. The WDR processing kept headlights under control, and plates stayed legible as long as there was at least some ambient light. On pitch-black backroads, it showed more noise than the Kingslim. But again, at under $100, the performance was respectable. For us, unless night-only recording is your top priority, Torvo's results were more than good enough. Parking mode is another big factor. Torvo TD3 uses a combination of motion detection and G-sensor triggers. When someone walks close or bumps the car, it silently starts recording and locks the clip. We liked how stealthy it was. No flashing lights to tip anyone off. Sensitivity needed tweaking out of the box, though. On default, it treated potholes like collisions, so we dialed it back to medium. Kingslim's parking monitor works much the same, but it also brings time-lapse recording into play. That means you can choose between recording short-triggered clips, recording continuous low FPS streamer. Both need hard wiring kits to work properly, and both sip only a few watts while parked, so neither will drain your battery quickly. In terms of reliability, we'd give the edge to Torvo's supercapacitor design. It's built to handle hot cabins without swelling or failing, while Kingslim relies on a traditional battery design, which over time could degrade faster under heat. Kingslim's biggest flex here is its voice control. With 9 different commands, we could snap photos, mute audio, or toggle camera feeds without taking our hands off the wheel. It can be convenient if you use it, though we noticed it wasn't always perfect at recognizing commands over music or open windows. In fact, to us and most other daily drivers, the voice commands didn't feel very useful. We used it for a while and ended up turning it off. Torvo skips voice control altogether, but honestly, we didn't miss it much. Instead, it sticks to doing the basics really well. Another small but important note, Torvo includes GPS built right in. Kingslim's GPS module is separate but bundled in, so setup takes an extra step. Both cameras also support loop recording, G-sensor file locking, and Wi-Fi downloads, so the fundamentals are covered either way. When it came to installing both, the difference in design philosophy showed again. Torvo TD3 is compact, lightweight, and mounted snugly behind our rearview mirror. Once it was up, it almost disappeared from sight, which we prefer since bulky dash cams can be distracting. The included electrostatic sticker makes it easy to remove later without leaving adhesive residue. Kingslim D4 Pro, being slightly larger with that swiveling lens, takes up more windshield space. It's not huge, but you'll notice it if you like a clean windshield. Cabling both was straightforward, though Kingslim's thinner rear cam cable made routing through trim just a touch easier. Still, with Torvo, we were set up and running faster simply because it came with everything in the box, including storage. This is where the conversation gets real. Torvo TD3 sits at around $99, including a 64GB card. Kingslim D4 Pro is typically more than double that, floating around $160, and you still need to buy a memory card separately. For the extra cash, you're getting a 2K rear cam, Sony sensors with superior night vision, and voice control. But if all you want is reliable 4K front footage, usable rear coverage, solid parking mode, and the peace of mind that it won't overheat, Torvo already checks those boxes at half the cost. So, after running both, here's where we land. If you're a driver who wants slight extras, voice control, sharper rear footage, and stronger night vision, Kingslim D4 Pro is the better fit. It's especially appealing if you want in-cabin flexibility with that swivel lens, or if you drive a lot at night. But if you're looking at value for money, Torvo TD3 is hard to beat. It delivers clean 4K, a decent Full HD rear, simple app control, reliable parking mode, and build quality that can stand summer heat, all under $100 with storage included. For many of us, that's already everything a dashcam needs to be. So those were pretty much everything about the Torvo TD3 and Kingslim D4 Pro. Which one would you pick? Let us know by commenting down below. And as for everything else, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.